Master yourself before seeking riches. I will begin with the first counsel, the foundation upon which all wealth is built. Before a man seeks riches, he must first rule himself. For I have seen many who gained gold, yet lost peace, discipline, and direction. And in time, their wealth abandoned them as quickly as it arrived. A man who cannot govern his desires will never govern abundance. I observed this truth throughout my reign. Those who lacked restraint spent faster than they earned, promised more than they could deliver, and pursued pleasure before purpose. Their riches slipped through their hands like water through open fingers. But the disciplined man, even with little, multiplied what he held. Self-control is the first treasury. Without it, every other form of wealth is unstable. I learned early that desire without discipline leads to ruin. A man who acts on impulse is easily deceived by opportunity that appears profitable but is hollow within. He chases gain without foresight and spends without measure. Yet the man who governs himself moves with intention. He pauses before acting. He measures before committing. He waits when others rush, and by waiting, he avoids loss. This is why I say, discipline is not restriction. It is protection. I watched merchants who rose quickly only to collapse under their own excess. They indulged before securing their foundations. They celebrated before their wealth was rooted. But the disciplined merchant saved before spending, studied before investing, and planned before expanding. His growth was slower, yet it endured. Self-rule also guards the mind. A man who cannot control his thoughts is easily led by fear or greed. Fear causes him to miss opportunity. Greed causes him to take foolish risk. Discipline steadies the heart and sharpens judgment. When the mind is calm, decisions are clear, and clarity produces prosperity. I will tell you of a young man who came before me seeking counsel. He wished to become wealthy quickly. I asked him not about his plans, but about his habits. How he spent his days, how he spoke, how he restrained himself. He could not answer. I told him, first conquer yourself, then pursue wealth. Years later, he returned, changed. He had disciplined his speech, his spending, and his time. Only then did his wealth begin to grow. For wealth follows order. Where there is chaos within, there will be loss without. Even kings fall when they cannot rule themselves. I have seen rulers destroy kingdoms not from lack of resources, but from lack of restraint. The same is true for individuals. A man who rises without discipline will fall without warning. Therefore, the first advice is this. Build discipline before ambition. Let patience govern desire. Let wisdom guide action. Master your spending, your words, your time, and your emotions. For the man who rules himself creates a foundation that wealth cannot easily destroy. Gold rests securely only in steady hands. This is the first lesson. Without it, no other advice will endure. The second counsel is this. Do not chase reward before you create value. I have seen many desire wealth without first becoming useful. They seek payment before mastery, profit before contribution, and gain before effort. Such wealth does not last, for riches follow value as a shadow follows the body. Where value is shallow, wealth is temporary. I observed craftsmen in my kingdom. One hurried his work, seeking quick payment. His products failed, and his reputation faded. Another labored patiently, perfecting his skill, even when reward was small. In time, his name became valuable, and wealth followed him without being chased. This is a law of prosperity. Payment is delayed value. Those who endure the delay receive the greater reward. I have seen merchants who lowered quality to increase speed. Their profit rose briefly and then collapsed. The merchant who focused on excellence rose slowly but remained long. Wealth that arrives before skill matures creates pressure, not freedom. It exposes weakness. But wealth that follows mastery rests on strength. Even wisdom itself works this way. A man who speaks before learning reveals his ignorance. A man who learns quietly speaks with authority. Authority creates trust. Trust creates opportunity. Opportunity creates wealth. Value begins unseen. It grows in silence, through repetition, effort, and patience. I will tell you of a builder. One built quickly, using weak materials. His house stood briefly, and then fell. Another built slowly, strengthening every foundation. His house endured storms, and increased in worth. So it is with wealth. Build the foundation first. Skill, character, reputation, and consistency are bricks of lasting prosperity. I have noticed this truth. Those who complain about reward often avoid the work of value. They envy success but ignore the process. The wise labor without applause, knowing that excellence speaks later. Even kings must first serve wisdom before ruling wealth. I was not given riches until wisdom was established, because wealth without wisdom destroys its owner. When value leads, wealth follows naturally. When reward leads, collapse follows eventually. Ask yourself not, how can I earn more? Ask instead, how can I become more valuable? Value multiplies income without strain. Speed fades. Excellence remains. Those who endure the season of building enter the season of abundance prepared. This is the second counsel. Become valuable, and wealth will seek you. The third counsel is this: respect time. For time is the partner of wealth. Many desire riches, yet they waste their days. They look for opportunity, but neglect preparation. They dream of abundance, but misuse the hours given to them. I tell you, money grows where time is honored. I observed men who worked constantly, yet achieved little. They were busy, but not intentional. Their days were full, but their progress was empty. Another man worked fewer hours, yet with focus, discipline, and direction. His efforts compounded. Time rewards clarity. A man who respects time does not rush, but he does not delay without reason. He knows when to act and when to wait. This balance creates prosperity. I watched laborers who spent years without advancement, not because they lacked effort, but because they lacked direction. Time used without wisdom produces fatigue, not fortune. Time guided by purpose produces growth. I also observed this truth. Small daily actions, when repeated, surpass sudden effort. A coin saved each day becomes a treasure over years. A skill practiced daily becomes mastery. But a man who waits for the perfect moment often waits forever. Respecting time means acting faithfully with what is given today. I have seen young men waste early years believing time was endless. Later, they sought wealth urgently, but lacked foundation. The wise build early, knowing time is the greatest multiplier. Even kings must respect time. A ruler who delays justice breeds unrest. A ruler who rushes decisions creates chaos. Wisdom knows the proper moment. I learned to divide my days. Time for learning, time for judgment, time for rest. Balance preserved my strength and sharpened my mind. Those who neglect rest lose clarity. Those who neglect reflection repeat mistakes. Wealth grows not only by effort, but by recovery and reflection. Time wasted cannot be recovered, but time invested returns with increase. I will tell you of two servants. One spent his days in distraction, doing little with much time. Another used each hour carefully, even when resources were few. Years later, one struggled, the other prospered. The difference was not talent, but respect for time. Time also reveals truth. Hasty wealth hides weakness. Time exposes it. Patient wealth grows stronger with every passing season. Those who respect time build wealth that survives change. Those who ignore it chase opportunities endlessly without lasting gain. Remember this: wealth is not built in days, but days build wealth. Each hour used wisely becomes a brick in your future. Even moments of stillness can be productive when used for thought and planning. The impatient despise time. The wise partner with it, and time rewards its partners generously. This is the third counsel. Honor your time, and it will multiply your wealth. The fourth counsel is this: wealth must be guarded, or it will depart. Many believe the work is finished once riches arrive. But I tell you, this is where the greater work begins. For wealth without protection is like a city without walls. I have seen men labor for years to gain abundance, only to lose it through neglect and pride. They focused on earning, but not on preserving. And what is gained slowly can be lost quickly. I observed treasuries in my kingdom. Those that were guarded carefully grew steadily. Those left unattended were emptied by thieves, waste, or poor judgment. The same is true for personal wealth. A man who does not track his resources will never keep them. A man who spends without awareness invites loss. Guarding wealth begins with attention. Know where your resources go. Know who has access to them. Know when to restrain yourself. I have seen generosity destroy men when it was not guided by wisdom. Giving without discernment is as dangerous as hoarding without mercy. The wise give deliberately, not impulsively. They preserve their ability to give again tomorrow. I once judged a dispute between two men of means. One lost his wealth through careless partnerships. He trusted without examination. The other prospered by choosing allies carefully. He knew this truth. Who you allow near your wealth determines how long it stays. Guarding wealth also means resisting arrogance. When riches increase, many grow careless. They assume abundance will always return. They stop planning, stop learning, stop listening. This is when decline begins. I have seen kings fall not from poverty, but from excess and pride. They believed themselves untouchable, and in that belief they ignored warning signs. The wise remain vigilant even in abundance. They remember scarcity, discipline, and humility. Wealth amplifies character. If discipline built it, discipline must guard it. If patience created it, patience must preserve it. I also observed this. Many lose wealth by neglecting small leaks. They ignore minor waste, small indulgences, and repeated errors. Over time, these drain even great fortunes. The wise repair leaks early. They correct habits before damage becomes visible. Guarding wealth is not fear, it is responsibility. It allows abundance to last, to grow, and to serve future generations. Even knowledge must be guarded. A man who stops learning begins to decline. The world changes, and only the vigilant remain secure. So too with wealth. It demands awareness, adjustment, and humility. Remember this: wealth that is respected stays. Wealth that is assumed departs. The careless lose, the watchful endure. This is the fourth counsel. Protect what you have built, or it will not remain. The fifth counsel is this: no man builds wealth alone. Those who walk beside you will shape your destiny as surely as your own decisions. I have seen men of great skill fall into poverty because of foolish companions. And I have seen men of modest ability rise to abundance because they chose wisely those who stood near them. A man may labor faithfully, yet lose everything if he surrounds himself with those who lack discipline. Companions influence habits. Habits shape outcomes. This is a law I observed throughout my reign. Merchants who partnered with the reckless suffered loss. Those who allied with the prudent prospered steadily. I watched advisors stand before kings. Some spoke with flattery, telling rulers what pleased them. Others spoke with truth, even when it was difficult. The king who chose flatterers fell into error. The king who chose the wise ruled long and prospered. Wealth grows where counsel is sound. A man who refuses advice isolates himself from correction, and isolation invites ruin. I tell you this: the people you listen to will determine what you believe possible. If you walk with the careless, carelessness becomes normal. If you walk with the disciplined, discipline becomes natural. Even ambition is shaped by company. Those who dream small shrink your vision. Those who think wisely sharpen your judgment. I have seen young men waste years of effort because they followed voices that encouraged indulgence instead of growth. Later, they blamed fortune, but it was not fortune that failed them. It was their choice of companions. Wealth also requires trust, and trust is built slowly with those who show consistency, integrity, and restraint. A man who gives access too quickly invites loss. The wise test loyalty over time. They observe how others behave when there is little to gain. Character revealed in scarcity will remain in abundance. I once watched two brothers inherit equal portions. One surrounded himself with wise counselors and diligent workers. The other welcomed anyone who praised him. Within years, one estate grew, the other vanished. The difference was not inheritance, but influence. Even solitude can be wise when companions are careless. Better to walk alone for a season than to be pulled backward continually. Yet when you find the wise, hold them close. They will correct you, challenge you, and protect you from your own blind spots. This, too, is wealth. Companions shape character. Character sustains discipline. Discipline preserves riches. The careless man says, I can manage alone. The wise man says, I choose those who sharpen me. Remember this. Your wealth will never rise higher than the wisdom of the voices you trust. Choose companions who value patience, integrity, and foresight, and your prosperity will reflect their influence. This is the fifth counsel. Walk with the wise, and wealth will follow your path.